One more minister in Uttar Pradesh, Dara Singh Chauhan, quits the BJP ahead of the election. He's the sixth leader to have left the party in Uttar Pradesh in 2 days. Meanwhile, Swami Prasad Maurya, who quit the party yesterday, tells NDTV, "My exit caused tremors in the BJP." A day after his resignation, an arrest warrant in a 2014 hate speech case against him. The centre announces that the COVID positivity rate has gone phenomenally high. 300 districts now have a positivity rate of over 5%. A day after a top epidemiologist pointed out that Omicron was like a common cold, the centre says it's no such thing. Also clarifies that 7-day home quarantine is a must for contacts. From poll campaigns in election-bound states to harvest festivals, massive crowds continue right through the COVID surge. The Aam Aadmi Party chief's door-to-door campaign in Mohali just after his own COVID recovery. And curbs are also relaxed for Bihu and the Ganga Sagar Mela as positivity soars. The army chief says the Nagaland killings of civilians were regrettable. Also says will emerge victorious if there is conflict in eastern Ladakh on questions on the border. He also says will extract dire costs if terror is forced on us. A double whammy for the economy. Inflation spikes even as IIP growth slows down. Retail inflation is at a 6-month high of 5.59%. November IIP growth slows to a 9-month low of just 1.4%. The big story, a second minister, Dara Singh Chauhan, has quit Yogi Adityanath's cabinet in Uttar Pradesh after Swami Prasad Maurya's shock resignation yesterday. He is the second OBC leader to quit Team Yogi just before next month's state election. His reasons for doing so, in fact, echoed Maurya's explanation offered less than 24 hours earlier. However, while Akhilesh Yadav has been quick to tweet photographs of himself with the leaders exiting the BJP, the Netas for now are playing it cool. Interestingly, a court in Sultanpur also issued an arrest warrant against Swami Prasad Maurya in a case over a hate speech he allegedly made in 2014.
First Swami Prasad Maurya and now a resignation by UP government minister Dara Singh Chauhan. The reasons offered mirroring those of Maurya, the alleged neglect of backward classes by the government. Once again, a tweet from Akhilesh Yadav welcoming Mr. Chauhan.
जैसे जैसे चुनाव करीब आएगा और हर फेसेस के चुनाव हैं, बहुत जल्दी नॉमिनेशन से पहले लगातार नाम आएंगे. जब पिछली बार स्वामी साहब मौर्य जी साथ आए, हमें खुशी है, उनके साथ और साथी भी आए हैं. समाजवादी पार्टी की जो आने वाले समय में लड़ाई है उसको और आसान किया.
But like Swami Prasad Maurya, Chauhan says he will decide later.
जो हमारे शुभचिंतक, जो हमारे समर्थक साथी हैं, जिनके सहयोग से मुझे कई बार लोकसभा से लेकर विधानसभा तक पहुंचने का मौका मिला है, उनसे मैं बुलाऊंगा, राय करूंगा, जैसा उनका निर्णय होगा. इतनी पूर्ण बहुमत की आपने देखा कि सरकार बनी और सरकार बनने के बाद उनको न्याय और इंसाफ नहीं मिल पाया.
Chauhan is an OBC leader from Eastern UP. He was a long-term Bahujan Samaj Party leader before joining the BJP in 2015. When he joined, he was made the president of the BJP's OBC Morcha, and in 2017, he became the Minister for Environment and Forests. Sources in the BJP claimed that Dara Singh Chauhan was unpopular in his area and was going to be dropped anyway. But 2 big ministers and 4 MLAs exiting the BJP in a space of 24 hours is bad news for the party. 24 hours after he resigned from Yogi Adityanath's cabinet, an arrest warrant against Swami Prasad Maurya from a court in Sultanpur in an ongoing case over a hate speech he allegedly made in 2014. But Maurya remained unfazed and was still cryptic about joining Akhilesh Yadav's Samajwadi Party.
मेरे इस्तीफे का स्वागत कोई करेगा, मैं उसको धन्यवाद दूंगा. हमारे इस्तीफे का कोई भी स्वागत करेगा, हम उससे धन्यवाद देंगे. हजारों कार्यकर्ता रहे, मैं सबको धन्यवाद दे रहा हूं.
समाजवादी पार्टी नहीं ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं अभी?
14 जनवरी को वो भी तय हो जाएगा। हम क्या कर रहे हैं,
तो 2 दिन क्या करेंगे आज कल?
2 दिन हम अपने साथियों से, कार्यकर्ताओं से, जो हजारों की तादाद में कल से लगातार आ रहे हैं, मैं उनसे मिल रहा हूँ, सुन रहा हूँ, उनकी बात को सुन रहा हूँ, उनकी भावनाओं को समझ रहा हूँ।
Maurya may be non-committal about joining the SP, but many from the party visited him in Lucknow today, including this ex-MLA from Eastern UP.
ऐसा कोई विधानसभा नहीं है जहाँ की 2000 से लेके 5000, 10,000 वोट न बढ़े। हर विधानसभा में इनका 10-5,000 वोट बढ़ने का काम होगा।
A question which everybody is asking whether more BJP lawmakers will quit and align themselves with Swami Prasad or with Akhilesh's Samajwadi Party.
One of the ministers about whom rumors are circulating, Dharam Singh Saini, issued this video today.
मैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी में हूं और भारतीय जनता पार्टी में ही रहूंगा। मैं आपके माध्यम से खंडन करता हूं कि मैं पार्टी नहीं छोड़ रहा हूं।
The Deputy Chief Minister once again tweeting an appeal for a dialogue, but the BJP's local unit in Kushinagar, from where Maurya is MLA, burst crackers over the exit and called it good riddance.
जनता हम लोगों को कोस रही थी कि आपके विधायक, आपके मंत्री क्षेत्र में नहीं रहते हैं। हम लोग भी घुटन महसूस कर रहे थे और उसकी क्षतिपूर्ति करने के लिए हम लोग जनता का सहयोग कर रहे थे। उनके जाने से भारतीय जनता पार्टी को कोई असर नहीं पड़ेगा और पडरौना की सीट भारतीय जनता पार्टी बड़े अंतरों से जीतेगी।
There is speculation more ministers could quit and join Maurya and Chauhan soon. With Uday Singh, Saurabh Shukla and Vineet Verma, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
And in a face saver for the BJP, a Congress MLA, Naresh Saini, and a Samajwadi Party MLA, Hariom Yadav, both from UP, joining the BJP. Both are also from the backward castes. The BJP's decision to induct them into its fold appears to be aimed at refuting suggestions that it is confronting challenges in maintaining its strength among OBCs. With India's COVID positivity rate at 11.05%, the centre today said that the rise in the positivity rate in the last 12 days has been sharp and concerning. Let's take a look at the overall numbers as well. India reporting, in fact, close to 2 lakh cases today. But also there's been a rise in deaths in the last 2 weeks. In 24 states, there's been an average 56% rise in the number of deaths. The actual number being 973, excluding Kerala, where deaths have actually reduced. But states with the maximum number of cases include Maharashtra with 2.6 lakh cases, West Bengal with 1.3, Delhi has the same figure, Tamil Nadu has 74,000 cases, and Karnataka with 65,000 cases. Now, states which are seeing the fastest rise currently, top of the list is worryingly the poll-bound Uttar Pradesh, which has seen a weekly rise of 1,300%, and that's followed by Bihar in second place, Puducherry, Tripura, and Madhya Pradesh.
India is seeing a surge in COVID across the country. Kolkata's positivity rate is a staggering 60%, Mumbai's at 27%, and Delhi and Chennai at 23%.
You can see rapidly rising test positivity rates, phenomenally high, 25%, 30%, even 60%.
The immediate worry are the election campaign in 5 states. Rallies are banned till Saturday, but there are still small gatherings where masks and social distancing are largely missing. COVID trends in poll-bound states are a major cause of concern. Major cities in all 5 states seeing positivity rate of 5% and more. UP's weekly cases are rising at over 1,300%. UP's reproduction number at 3.5, the highest versus India's 1.4. Less than 1% indicates spread of cases. 16 of 22 Punjab districts have positivity rate above 5%. Weekly positivity rate in all of Goa is over 23%. However, the centre today refused to say whether the ban on election rallies will be extended. Just that they are sharing data with the Election Commission.
जैसी सिचुएशन इवॉल्व होती है वह इलेक्शन कमीशन के साथ साझा भी की जाती है। जब भी वह मांगते हैं उसके बेसिस पर कोई भी डिसीजन होगा लिया जाएगा।
Top officials have urged the public to take Omicron seriously and warned that it can badly hit healthcare systems.
Omicron is not common cold. इसी ओमिक्रॉन की वजह से
कई देशों के हेल्थ सिस्टम कोलैप्स हो गए। इसी की वजह से बहुत हद तक हेल्थ वर्कर्स को घर में छुट्टी लेके बैठना पड़ा और प्रेशर पड़ा।
During assembly elections in 5 states last year, stricter curbs to contain the spread of COVID-19 were brought in by the Election Commission of India. And while similar curbs are expected this time as well in the poll-bound states amid a rising third wave of COVID-19 in the country, more important will be to see that whether these curbs are implemented on the ground and respected by the political parties as well. With camera person Ashok Mahalia, Mokshi Dongre for NDTV.
Well, COVID testing rules seem to have been tweaked with a U-turn from the government in just 48 hours. On Monday, the government had said asymptomatic contacts need not be tested. Today, it clarified that even if asymptomatic contacts are not tested, all contacts do have to home quarantine for 7 days.
Most important is home quarantine for all contacts for 7 days. So if I have come here for work, I go back home and I test positive, all my relatives who are above 60 or comorbidities should be tested. All my children, etc. should not be tested but have to be in home quarantine for 7 days. Have to be in home quarantine for 7 days as per guidelines and continue to wear masks. So use of mask is vitally important when you are doing home quarantine.
Delhi has logged 27,561 fresh COVID cases, a 29% rise in 24 hours. It's the most number of cases in a day since April of 2021. The positivity rate has touched 26%, which is once again the highest in 7 months. In April, on the 20th of April last year, the city reported 28,395 cases. Well, today, Delhi also reported 40 COVID deaths, and that is the most since the 10th of June when 44 deaths were recorded. Active COVID cases now stand at 87,445, which is also the highest in 8 months. 47,723 new cases have been reported from Maharashtra, which also saw 32 new deaths being reported. Now, of these, of the sequenced tests, 86 were found to be Omicron, but it can safely be assumed that almost all of them are indeed Omicron cases. As for Mumbai, 16,420 new COVID cases were reported in Mumbai alone, and this is a 40% rise in just 24 hours. The positivity rate has once again spiked from 18.75% yesterday to 24.38% today. The number of tests did go up, but the only silver lining in all of this, the BMC claims 83% patients are asymptomatic.
We have increased our line from 10 lines to 30 lines now. Even the war room doctor staff has been increased. Even the area of the war room has been increased.
The BMC COVID ward war rooms are a critical piece of infrastructure in tackling the third wave of COVID, largely believed to be driven by the Omicron variant. Now, in this wave, most patients are in home isolation, and that means that the ward war rooms are keeping track of their treatment.
ओके, का केली होती? काय सिम्पटम्स होते मॅडम तुम्हाला? हातपाय अंग दुखत होतं आणि थोडीशी कसकस होती. तुम्हाला बीपी डायबिटीज काही आहे का? नाही. अस्थमा थायरॉइड तुमचा आजार आहे? हो. आता तसं काही त्रास नाही होत, म्हणजे नॉर्मल आहे. वॅक्सिन घेतलं मॅडम किती?
So you can see how every detail of the patient who is in home isolation is being collected here by this lady from the ward war room of the BMC.
ठीक आहे मॅडम, बाकी काही असेल ना तर या नंबरवर कॉल करा. ठीक आहे, हा इमर्जन्सी लँडलाईन नंबर आहे. काही त्रास झाला तर या नंबरवर कॉल करा. ठीक आहे, थँक्यू सो मच.
The patients say they feel assured by the calls.
माझं वय 70 वर्ष आहे. 4 दिवसापूर्वी कोरोना टेस्टमध्ये मी पॉझिटिव्ह आले. शीकडून वारंवार चौकशी केली जाते, फोन करून औषधं दिली जातात. परत आमचा BP, ऑक्सिजन लेवल हे सर्व कसं आहे हे सर्व चौकशी केली जाते. म्हणजे आमची काळजी घेतली जाते BMC कडून.
Ankur Gupta, a bank employee, says the ward war room has been following up regularly with him.
BMC has been really proactive in making sure that, you know, I am not left alone in such tough times. I got multiple calls from various people in BMC asking if I needed anything, if I needed any help.
Here's another call that's taking place at the same time. Let's just listen into this conversation as well.
अच्छा अगर आपके घर में फैसिलिटीज अवेलेबल है तो आपको होम क्वारंटाइन कर देंगे. ओके ठीक है चलेगा. थैंक यू सो मच सर.
Last 2 to 3 days we are receiving near about 400 to 500 ka list, but before that 2 to 3 days before we were receiving the list of 1900 patients.
This is how the ward war rooms in Mumbai are tackling the third wave of COVID. With camera person Rajendra Dhalkar, inside the ward war room of the G North ward, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
With the big harvest festival now just days away, there are fears that they could become super spreader events. Already, COVID curbs have been relaxed in Assam despite soaring positivity. The Bengal Chief Minister's decision to allow the Ganga Sagar festival to go ahead has also raised eyebrows. Andhra Pradesh too has postponed night curfew ahead of Makar Sankranti.
Assam is gearing up for its biggest harvest festival, Bogali Bihu, at a time when there is a major COVID spike with 2,800 cases reported yesterday. Yet, the state government has lifted curbs to allow celebrations but not large gatherings.
We are mostly in touch with the various organizers of functions and all. Since no express restrictions have been put as of now, we are still monitoring the situations.
Curfew hours would be relaxed for a day to allow people to celebrate Bihu, even though experts say a large community gathering might cause a big surge in places like Guwahati, where the positivity rate is above 10%.
Replication level is much higher than the other variant. That is why we must be very concerned and we must be very cautious.
At a time when Assam is witnessing a major spike in the number of COVID cases, with the positivity rate in Guwahati more than 10%, people are also gearing up to celebrate Assam's biggest festival, the Bogali Bihu.
In Bengal too, which is badly hit by the current surge, the authorities have allowed visitors and holy men from many states at the Ganga Sagar Mela. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has allowed public events, even though provisions have been made for RT-PCR tests and also vaccinations at the venue, even though vaccination's efficacy kicks in only after 2 weeks. At Sikandrabad railway station, a rush to catch trains headed to Andhra Pradesh as people go home to native towns and villages for 4 days of Sankranti celebrations.
अरे तो जाना तो है ही है ना, जाना एक सत्य है, हैं? आप परहेज रखिए, कोरोना के मास्क लगाइए, सैनिटाइजर लगाइए, हैं?
భయం ఉంటుంది బట్ మన జాగ్రత్తలో మనం ఉంటే బెటర్ అండి. ఫేస్ మాస్క్ వేసుకొని శానిటైజర్ ధరించుకొని వెళ్ళడంలో బెటర్.
So the Andhra Pradesh government that had initially imposed night curfew from Tuesday, the 11th of January, postponed it by 1 week from January 18th to 31st. It also said no more than 200 people at public events and ceremonies and no more than 100 people in indoor events, whereas cockfights like this one are very popular and are usually witnessed by several hundreds. Experts worry that the celebrations may take the COVID numbers from the urban cities to the villages where this harvest festival is largely celebrated. With Ratnadeep Chaudhary in Guwahati, Shankar in Kolkata and Nagaraju in Hyderabad, Uma Sudhir for NDTV.
India and China have been working on mutual disengagement and there have been positive developments, but the threat is very much there. That was the Army Chief, General M.M. Narawane, telling reporters this at an annual press conference that he holds ahead of Army Day.
I think it is quite clear, and I think the MEA also made reference to it when they said that the amassing of large forces by the Chinese in eastern Ladakh is the root cause of this situation which developed. But now that they are there and they have made a lot of infrastructure, it remains to be seen whether they will permanently station themselves there, garrison themselves there, or whether they would be amenable to some kind of de-induction in times to come. War is always, or conflict is always an instrument of last resort, but if resorted to, we will come out victorious.
The news updates continue on NDTV 24/7. Do keep watching.